Before we dive into our day of PvP testing, I bring good news, boys. Both Arms and Fury seem to be mega pumping so far in 11.1. I feel like everybody is kind of mega pumping though, because we probably have all these damage buffs for the new patch, but our gear is still in the old patch, so we don't have as much stamina to sort of like take all of the increased damage that we've gotten. So everything is like really fast paced, but so far Arms and Fury both feel good. What I want to do though is go over my Colossus Arms setup, just to give you guys an idea of what I'm cooking with right now. I think that I'll probably end up mostly playing, like, right now, probably Colossus Arms and Mountain Thane Fury. Those have both felt really, really good. But just to review what we're doing with Colossus right now, our talents have changed a little bit, so you can get access to some pretty cool stuff. On the warrior side of things, I'm still just going for Intervene, Stormbolt. I still like Thunderclap a lot. We have Shockwave still. I'm very tempted to do Rumbling Earth, but I don't really like giving up things down here. But anyway, we have Reinforced Plates, which is now stamina and armor, which is crazy. You definitely want to play Berserker Shout, so you can play Berserker Roar, which is crazy. I'll talk about that in a second. But you play Berserker Shout, make sure you actually drag it on your bar, because it looks like Berserker Rage, but it isn't actually Berserker Rage. So you actually have to drag it on your bar, which is odd, but whatever. At least you have to with this talent. It's kind of weird, but regardless. Armor to the Teeth, 2 out of 2, and then you can play at least 1 point in Spear now, very comfortably. Especially nice for Colossus to lock people down for Demolish. But we'll do Stormbolt, of course. Pain and Gain is okay. If you don't want to do Pain and Gain, you can do Frothing Berserker instead. I don't know. I mean, they both don't really do that much, right? But it's probably fine to do either one. I just did Pain and Gain for now. Rally, all this other stuff. I feel like it's more appropriate to talk about like what we're not taking, I guess, but we definitely want the shorter cooldown, move speed off of Leap. I still like Second Wind. You need Impending Victory as like one of your main healing things. I do War Machine instead of Fast Footwork just to get down here, because this gives you just more rage from auto attacks, which is always nice. Take Fear, Spell Reflect. Honed Reflexes I think is kind of nice. You could get through there with like Sidearm if you wanted to, but I do Honed Reflexes for now. I'm doing 2 out of 2 and Weapon Specialization, which is pretty cool. It's just more damage, but you also take less damage from AoE, which is like a PvE thing, surely. But whatever. I think Roar is pretty good for Thane. You can put on a short cooldown, and you can buff all your bleeds, including Thunderous Roar. And this makes it all last longer, because Thane... did I say Thane? Colossus is getting a whole lot of extra bleed damage from this talent, Arterial Bleed. So it's just kind of a nice way to buff your extra damage. If you wanted to, you could take out these two, and you could just still have maybe 1 point in Roar, or if you didn't even take any points in Roar, you don't need it. You could take out all the Roar stuff, and you could put 1 point in Warlord's Torment, and then you could do like 2 points in Spear, or you could move up, like take these points out and do like Crit, 1 point in Spear, and then bigger Shockwave. You have some options there. This is pretty standard. It just feels good to do just lots of AoE with this setup right here, and do it every 45 seconds, because then you have Warbreaker, Demolish, and Dragon Roar, which are all on kind of a relatively short cooldown. Feels pretty good. In terms of the actual like talents that you take, I kind of like the longer Shockwave duration, and the slow is fine. You could do the knock up with the shorter cooldown thing. I don't usually do that right now, but I just like the longer Shockwave stun. It's pretty cool. Makes the like Bolt the healer, Shockwave the DPS really smooth. I'm going for the Arterial Bleed. It increases the damage of Rend and Deep Wounds by 5 per stack, which again is a lot of damage, especially if you're playing like the sit on your stacks style, where you're not trying to demolish constantly. You can like wait for your demolish, and then you're just doing a ton of bleed damage with Overpower, getting buffed along with your bleeds by like the Colossal Might and stuff. So pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. And I'm going for so I had Veteran Vitality in there. I don't know. That's not really what I want, though. I'd rather have this. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'd rather just have more Ignore Pain. This is, like, maybe okay, situationally. But I don't think it's that good. I think I'd rather have No Stranger to Pain. And then, on the actual arms side, I don't think a lot has changed. I do have one thing that I'm considering doing, which is dropping Executioner's Precision, but Execute doesn't really hit that hard, but now it will just act as like a buff to your Mortal Strike, which, again, it's only 10% in PvP, but it's still something. Yeah, I'll link it to you when we're in the video and when we're done, for sure. Let's see. What are we not taking here? Some of the choices that we've made are, we're going for Unhinged. I'm taking these things at the end. We can kind of walk you through, like, the defensive stuff, right? We have Die by the Sword, of course. We're taking both of these. Fueled by Violence for the healing is going to be buffed by this, right? Then you're going to be protecting it with Ignore Pain, which is nice to have. You got to have Ignore Pain if you're going to take this, right? I mean, it's kind of weird. It's like, if you didn't, you almost don't even have to take Execute if you don't want to, but you may as well, right? I'm kind of definitely thinking about doing some not Execute stuff, but you have to take Sudden Death to get down here, so you may as well. But you could take some of these things out for Blood Surge, just to have more rage, which I might try at some point today, but I think this is pretty safe. Sudden Death, again, is just going to buff your next Mortal Strike with Execute anyway, so it's fine. This is another thing to mention is that for Colossus, you may want to consider playing some crit, because you have the crit damage here, you have the crit damage here, and then also crits on Mortal Strikes give you an extra stack, right, of your Colossal Might, which is giving you damage to your Demolish and damage to Overpower and all your bleeds, so something to consider. I like Sweeping Strikes lasting longer as this build, just because, like, you're getting more value out of sweeping, because it's going to build more stacks for you when you Mortal Strike and hit multiple targets, which is pretty nice to have. I love Exhilarating Blows, especially as this, right? Because the more Mortal Strikes you can get off on a target, or just in general, the more Colossal Might stacks you're going to get, but also Mortal Strike hits really freaking hard as this build, right? Which one is it that's buffing Mortal Strike? Yeah, Mortal Strike damage increased by 20% is nuts, right? And critical strikes add additional stack, right? You just get all this kind of craziness, so this is really nice to have. Warbreaker's fine if you want to AoE. Blood Instruments is still really good too for single target, which I still might experiment with at some point. I do like the haste on In for the kill. Thank you, Lordy Lord. Big flex for you. Pumping us up, man. Yeah, Arms and Fury both feel good. Hitting really hard with Mortal Strike as Arms is super nice. Going through here, taking Blade Storm, taking Unhinged, as usual. Mortal Strike, we have even more crit damage, right? So we have crit damage here, and crit damage here. So you may, again, want to consider building into crit as Colossus if you like that idea. Then you can get really nasty, like, crit Colossus spear goes, which is pretty funny. Over on this side, going down here, grabbing all the stuff, grabbing Ren, grabbing the bleeds, grabbing... I like the Overpower, just doing more damage one for right now. Also increase crit damage on Overpower here. Another reason to do crit damage, which is crazy. Mastery, Tactician stuff. Overpower has a chance to reset the cooldown of Mortal Strike and generate 10 rage. So nice to have. And then we are doing a lot of bleeds, so having the bleed last longer from this and from Thunderous Roar is sick, especially if you decide to play Battlefield Commander, which is going to make Thunderous Roar be like a 5% increased damage debuff on the enemies, which is pretty sweet. The thing about Arms is we have a lot of nutty honor talents, right? So this new one, Berserk Roar, is so crazy. So it's like War Banner, except it's on a shorter cooldown, and it can't be killed, right? So you still can remove, like, immunity to, like, Sphere Sap and Incapacitate, which is what you usually do. It also gets your teammates out of fear, right? And it also reduces the duration of the next crowd control effect within 10 seconds by 50% on group members. So it works like Banner, but it's only on the next CC, but it's still on a shorter cooldown. It's crazy, right? Super nice. Sharpened Blade got nerfed a little bit. Now it's tied to Colossus Smash. A lot of people macroed it together, but it wasn't always like that. What you could do is you could, like, CC an enemy healer. When the CC ended, then you use your Sharpened Blade. When they're finally coming out of the CC trying to throw like a huge heal on them, you sharpen the target, and then the huge heal that they just used then does 50% less. So you could use it more skillfully before. Now it's nerfed, but I mean it's still good. So whatever. Some other things to consider are that Storm of Destruction now applies to your Demolish, so you can slow people in your Demolish, which is kind of cool. It's only 60% now, which was like, what the heck? And it does apply the Mortal Wounds. It's the same one as Mortal Strike. It's not actually 50%, it's 25%, but you know what I mean. This is only reducing the cooldown of Rallying Cry, so that got a little bit worse. You can also play Dragon Charge to knock people all over the place, which is kind of funny. I don't think I would do it, but it's kind of funny. You do have a lot of cool choices for honor talents, though, but I think I like this setup right here. I do like Storm of Destruction a lot, but I think the utility of this is nice. Utility this is nice, and the utility of this is nice, so that's what I'm rocking with Colossus. In terms of your stats and gear and stuff, I do think that crit is a pretty fine option, but if you're like me and you played a lot of Fury, you can definitely still play this with heavy mastery, a little bit of haste, and not all that much crit. You do have a little bit of crit from battle stance, and I found that like my Mortal Strikes were critting a lot anyway, which is kind of interesting. But I'm pretty much playing the 4 set with a bunch of versatility mastery stuff in there still. I'm using the damage reduction while affected by crowd control, like a red gem. But yeah, a whole bunch of versatility mastery still with 4 set basically is what I'm doing as arms. Ideally, you'd probably want a little bit more haste for arms. I think I'm just still hitting hard. I think there's absolutely a place for like a crit verse build for Colossus in particular. But that's what I've got going there. Enchants are the same as usual, right? Putting Crystalline Radiance on the chest piece, movement speed on belt on back and bracers. Putting in just agility, strength, stam on legs, movement speed on boots, and that's about it. With I'm trying Authority of the Depths on this weapon. I think I almost would rather play the strength one. But the reason I had depths on this weapon is because I was playing for Fury. But I think I'd rather have strength because that way all your bleeds hit harder too. And I don't know if I necessarily need more single target dots on things as arms, but depths or radiance is fine. And of course we've crafted ascendance on this weapon, and then on our boots we've crafted just the double effect of ascendance. That's what we've got going there, which is cool because you can upgrade this now. So a lot of the things that we talked about in the previous guides at the beginning of War Within are going to apply now to like gearing and stuff, but all in all, Warrior does feel pretty dang good. I think a lot of what you can do as Warrior right now is just pop Sweeping Strikes, charge in, Warbreaker, Dragon Roar, Blade Storm to build up a bunch of you probably want a Mortal Strike just one time before you Blade Storm. That way you can have more stacks. Just something to mention there. Once you get enough stacks, what you can do is you can like Shockwave, Spear into Demolish for big damage, and then you just keep the pumps rolling. Now if you can, it's nice to Demolish with a Warbreaker, but you won't always be able to. In terms of your general rotation, you're pressing Mortal Strike every time you can. You don't have to build stacks with Overpower first. I mean, if you do it, it'll hit harder, which is nice, but you don't have to. Just big Mortal Strikes on cooldown. Press Overpower when you don't have Mortal Strike. Press Execute when it procs, and then just keep letting it rip with the Dragon Roar. Pretty much off CD. Again, ideally, everything that can go with a Warbreaker is better. But pressing your stuff off CD is sweet just for doing general damage. Sweeping Strikes when you can to cleave stuff down. And then Demolishing, certainly you can do that whenever like you have a chance to. But like right here, it could almost line up. Like if you have a Warbreaker ready and you have a couple seconds left on your Demolish, you can try to get it going. It does kind of work like anger management in the fact that it, whenever you would get a stack of Colossal Might, but you already have full stacks, it will reduce the cooldown, right? So maybe like your second avatar, you could wait, right? If you had like perfect uptime, then you have the full combo again, just without Spear. Boom, boom, boom. Beautiful. So it's a pretty fun spec to play. Lots of cleaving. You don't have to like prioritize keeping a rend on a target. Deep Wounds will sort of just happen on its own. But you have access to all this utility now, right? You can do Roar, and you have Spear. You have a long Shockwave now, like a 3-second Shockwave. And I feel like after your first, like Warbreaker, Blade Storm, then Demolish combo, you should have some times where things line up nicely. Like this one with full uptime, you have Spear, Warbreaker, Demolish. You could have waited for Dragon Roar if you wanted to as well for the 5% buff. Then you can just build all your stacks again with Blade Storm. Sweeping Strikes, it should give you a couple of them at least. It used to give you more, but now it doesn't seem like it works with that one. But either way, you build some stacks and you're already ready to go. And even though you don't have Demolish, like it's on cooldown right now, your overpowers are still gonna be hitting really hard. All your bleeds are still gonna be hitting really hard. And people are freaking out because you have full stacks, right? So like anytime you stun them, they're probably gonna be freaking out if they're paying attention, right? Because they know the Demolish is coming. Look at the damage breakdown. Demolish is still doing damage. Mortal Strike is going to be doing most of your damage for sure. We were hitting Demolish on 3 targets like the whole time though, right? Overpower is chunking hard. The bleeds were doing good. Thunderous Roar is still doing some good damage. We're not really worried too much about Champion Spear. The reason I would maybe consider going the other enchant is because your strength is going to buff all your bleeds, right? This is just like its own separate dot, which is still 2.6% of your damage, but all that much more strength is probably better. So I'm probably going to enchant for the other one and just see how that feels. But all in all, man, I think Colossus is probably like the best warrior spec right now, I would say. Not having tested Fury a ton, I still think that Mountain Thane Fury is going to be pumping. I think that the Slayer options are... Like, Slayer just does damage, right? It's reliable, it's consistent, it just does damage. But I think it's less flashy. You know what I mean? And it's also like... You don't have as much threat, right? Like, the constant threat of Demolish, I think, is a big deal. And it makes me want to play more of it. And I feel like there's a lot of really cool stuff that you can do with Demolish. Like, you can find, like, cool ways of getting your talent set up for utility and stuff. You can make really good use of Spear. With Spear Demolish, you can do the crit thing for really insane Demolish, like, crits, and you benefit from crit in a cool way. Slayer's just reliable, but we can talk about Slayer later. I had a lot of fun playing Colossus Arms yesterday, and I kind of want to play more today. And I will link you the builds in the YouTube channel, and I can drop it on in Twitch chat as well. But I wanted to start off the day by making a quick video telling you guys about the talents, PvP talents, your gear, enchants, anything else that, and then basic like rotation. Is there anything else that we need to talk about for the guide, or are we kind of feeling it, right? Looks good. We do need to try some Fury, but I have been having a lot of fun playing Colossus, and having not played very much Arms, I feel like I need to rebuild my muscle memory a little bit with this spec. But this will definitely get you started, and I will continue to update you guys on Arms builds, Fury builds. I mean, I'm even down to play Prot, because I feel like Prot is actually kind of nuts, potentially. But also let me know in the stream what you guys are interested in seeing, and let me know in the YouTube comments on these videos what you guys are interested in seeing, because a new patch means a lot of cool stuff to test out, and I think Arms Warrior has gotten a lot of neat stuff that definitely is worth looking at. In addition to the damage buffs, the way that they've changed the talent tree also bears a look, you know what I mean? And Colossus so far, with all the different stuff that it's got going for it, it's pretty wild. Boom. Well, and it feels good in BGs, and it probably is going to feel even better in Arena. But anyway, that's enough for this quick run through. We'll get this posted on YouTube for you guys, and we'll keep jamming away on stream. Remember that for the next month, we do have Twitch drops. You can come swing by Twitch and get that little robo doggy pet. It's got to come out here and watch the Twitch stream for a couple hours, but we're live quite a bit, so hopefully we can get you that. Thanks for watching. Be sure to show the video some love. Let me know what you want to see next, and we'll see you on the stream. Peace.